Hi, this is John Mayall delivering the blues with Andre and Backbeat.
All music is the same. It's just a new set of lyrics and a new backbeat.
Well, John, thanks for taking time out to have a chat with me. Your father was a musician and you taught yourself to play several different instruments. What would you say is your favorite?
Well, the keyboard has always been the main one, and then the harmonica and the guitar, I wouldn't say secondary, but they're the other ones, you know. Mm-hmm. It just depends what kind of song I want to play, or what instruments required. But the keyboard is the main one.
Uh-huh. So you joined the army in 52 to 54, went to Korea. Did you do anything musical while you were there?
Well, that's where there wasn't much to do out there, living in the tents. But so I brought a guitar with me, so I did some playing there for myself. But pretty much just for my own satisfaction,
Mm-hmm. So you didn't do anything to try and keep the troops entertained?
No, in Korea it's just huts and tents out in the wilderness, so.
Pretty much like MASH.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Uh-huh. Many years ago, you worked as a graphic designer, and I noticed that you, watching your DVD documentary, that you you like photography. What other kind of hobbies do you have?
Well, I love movies, so probably movies have always been my main hobby. Movies and reading, so those two things.
So in '65, Eric Clapton came in to replace Roger Dean. Now, is that by any chance the same person who does the art for Yes?
No, that's a different Roger Dean.
Happens to have the same name.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't often get asked that question, but they are two separate people.
Having had some of the finest musicians go through your ranks, now, namely, of course, Eric Clapton, Mick Taylor, and Peter Green, was there some method to changing the lineup?
No, it's just that those guys left. They were with me for a year. Well, Eric and Peter both were with me for a year with John McVie and Mick Fleetwood, and so they found their style and branched out on their own. So that was pretty much the way everything was going on in the '60s anyway, when the British blues boom started. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't just my band; it was other bands too, were trying to sort themselves out.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Bluesbreaker album was a legendary effort that Eric Clapton referred to as a live session. What were your reflections or recollections of that session?
Well, we were very, very pleased to be able to get a studio album. It was being the first one. The first album I did was a live album, but with a studio album, you get to design it a little bit more closely, and you get some care and attention going into track for track to make them a little different. So it was very exciting to be able to do that, and. But we played all the tracks pretty much the same way we do now, first and second takes, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So pretty quick in the studio, not much fooling around.
Well, no, there's never any fooling around. I mean, we had gigs going on in the evening when we did that album, so I don't remember how many sessions we did it in. Probably about 3. So that was it. 4-track recording. That's all it was back then.
Mm-hmm. That'd be unheard of by today's standards.
Well, yeah. I think things have changed pretty radically. But I think we always do our albums a lot quicker than just most musicians. I mean, the new album we have out is coming out in May. Is called Road Dogs, and that one we usually do the backing tracks and everything that counts it all within 5 days, and then the overdubs and mixing and everything probably takes only two weeks at the very most after that. So 3 weeks is the standard thing for us to make an album.
Oh, that's good. On the Bedwires album, you recorded with Dick Hextall Smith. Now, unfortunately, passed away in December of last year in 2004. Had you worked with him again since those days?
Yeah, he has a spot on our album Along for the Ride, so he's on that one, and at the same time he did that session with us. Later on in the evening I went over to the studio where he was putting together his last album, so I play on I returned the favour and played on his album one track.
Now, many years ago, you often did shows without a set list. Is that right?
Without a set list? Yeah, during the jazz blues fusion era. I mean, that was the fun of it, because everybody was such competent, great musicians. That, and being a jazz sort of thing, I just would call a key, and start something off, and we develop it like that. So yeah, those were the years when we didn't have any kind of set list to go on.
Mm-hmm. Now these days, how much part of the show is improvisation?
About 90%.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's different every night. But I mean, even though the songs that you're playing may be the same, but even there we vary those every night. The set list, it's always different because we just it's an improvisational band.
You recorded the album Turning Point in '69 to relate to a new musical direction, I assume. Would you say that the Laurel Canyon fire that destroyed your residence in '79 was sort of a hidden message and the real turning point for your personal lifestyle and direction for the future?
Not necessarily, no. I don't think so. Not in musical terms, anyway. I mean, I was still doing playing with bands of different personnels up to that time and after it. So, not necessarily something that was important as regards to the musical output.
So you stayed true to your roots?
Well, that's the only thing I got.
Yeah. Are there any musicians with whom you would like to collaborate with, and who would that be?
Well, the Along for the Ride album was an example of that very thing, where I got everybody together, people who'd played with me in the past, and also people who hadn't played with that I wanted to. So the album Along for the Ride is the answer to that question, and I couldn't think of anybody else. Maybe Robin Ford was the only one that wasn't available at the time, but that was it.
Well, maybe you could play catch-up someday soon.
Well, with maybe towards the end of the year, I think he's going to join us on a tour of America.
Oh.
So that'd be interesting. So anyway, all details of everything and up-to-date movements are always on our website, johnmayall.com. So that's the fount of information for everyone.
Now, in your long musical career, you've played countless shows. Now, which occasion would you say sticks out most in your mind, which one meant the most to you?
No, that really doesn't apply at all.
No?
I mean, every night when we do a show, we approach it with the same sort of excitement and just go for it, So no, there's no particular gig that stands out any more than any other.
So every night is just
Yes, it's new territory every night, so that's the way it's supposed to be, because you should never take what you've done before for granted. With the audience, you always have to win them over, because there's people there who've been following you for years, but there's also people there who've never heard you before, so you're playing to them.
Well, I guess at least it doesn't get mundane to any point, does it?
No, it's very important to keep it fresh.
Your latest studio release, which was the last one? It was
the last one was the 70th birthday concert.
Of course, that was. But aside from that, studio was the Stories.
Stories was the last studio one, yeah.
And you mentioned that your next one's coming up. What is there to look forward to on this one?
It's this time I've written 13 out of the 15 songs, and the other 2 songs were written by the members of the Blues Breakers. So this time around we've produced it ourselves. There's no extra producer on it, and it's a solid blues album, so it's going to be well received, I think.
Well, John, thank you very much for taking your time out.
It's a pleasure.